Check out the color of this. And there's my muddy shoes. I've just never seen a stream this color yet. Interesting. Huh. Something in the soil. All right, well, fortunate for me, I don't need water. But I am going up this hill now. Okay. Okay. I don't know how far away the water source is, but if I could have carried the water in, this is awesome. Look at this. This is like beautiful tent sites, right? All pine needles like I like, some grass. It's got to be at least half a dozen, probably more, right? But here's the best part. Look at this. High back chairs around the fire pit. Look at that one. It looked like a recliner. I love it. I absolutely love it. I would have loved to create a fire and just sit in one of these little rock chairs. That's so cute. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. But on we go because, one, I probably wouldn't have made a fire because everything would have been wet. There would have been no fire last night. Timing was all wrong for that campsite. But you are lovely. Adios. Here we go. Hey, Wilson. Morning. Okay, so this is called the Beaver Dam Swamp or something. Now you see that straight ahead, the dark opening. That's where I came out of. And it's impossible to see. I couldn't have filmed it on either end to show you what I just had to cross. But it looks something like this. Only there were logs laying in the water. So as long as you didn't slip off the logs, you would get across. Shockingly and amazingly, I got across 3/4 of the way, and I'm like, I don't like this. Now, usually I'm up for this kind of challenge, but it was not good. And of course, on far out, I'm reading, oh, and just so you're aware, there are snakes in this water. Oh, good. Excellent. But I guess this area, it has been, trees are falling because of beavers. And of course, we can't do anything about that. So let's see what we got here. So, it was kind of like, maybe you see what's going on over there? I don't know. Can you see that? Like where there's logs in the water and you just kind of got to walk around it. That was kind of what it was like, but I did not go there. This is kind of, some of the logs were a lot smaller than that one. I would be lucky to be on logs that big. But anyway, I was so relieved to be on the other side that I forgot to tape it. So I came back through the mud to show you. Don't you feel special and appreciated right now? Anyway, okay. So one foot did end up in the mud. Can you guess? No, you can't tell. It was this one. But here's the mud. Yeah. I thought I stepped on a little... See that little stick? Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Anyway, that's what we got for mud to get us through the mud. But, yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't long. That's the good thing. It was not long. It was just slippery, like very slippery. I mean, it would probably be slippery if it hadn't rained, but it has rained. And so very, 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 I just sunk a little. Okay. All right. Back. And then I'm like looking where I have to go into, and I'm thinking, my goodness. So I'm just gonna, I'll show you. Hold on. I'm trying. I can't go fast through here. I'm like just gonna go knee deep into the mud pit. It's just so muddy, but I mean, made worse, I'm sure, by the rain, but I have a feeling it's muddy all the time because it's the beaver swamp. Yeah, okay. I think I can walk safely now. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so dark in there. Oh, it looks darker. My phone is brightening it up. Kind of like that other forest we went into, but oh gosh, look at more muck. Where shall I step, do you think? I don't think I got this far before I turned around, so I really don't know. All right, let's work together. I'm gonna bring you along. Oh my gosh, it's disgusting. Look at this. And here's the thing. I know there's snakes in the water. Is there snakes in all this tall grass? That was the other thing. So a lot of the grasses were very tall around the logs, and I'm thinking, what if there are snakes on the logs and I can't see them? But anyway, all right. Seems I have survived yet again what the trail has thrown at me. We'll see if I can keep this positive trend going. But, all right, you know what? Once I got through the opening of this mystery forest, it doesn't actually look that dark anymore. All right, well, that was fun. The beaver swamp, check. There is a alternate route if you don't feel that you have the balance required. You can take an alternate route. It's longer, but that was pretty short, so anything probably would be longer. Okay, off we go. So there's no view. Not sure if there would have been, but this is pretty awesome. Can you hear that? There's a lot of I think they sound like fireworks, but it's rainy and foggy and it seems kind of like no. And then I think, could it be gunfire? But I don't know. Seems to be coming from that direction. I don't know, I've been hearing it all day, so not sure what it is. Oh well. Almost to stay at Swatara. I'm excited. I really am. Can't wait to stay in a big old tent on a cot. All right, almost there. You are never going to guess who I met on trail. Well, you might guess. If you're watching other through hiker channels, then you'll probably guess. But so I will just tell you. Green Bean and Jamless. Okay, also known as Leslie and Kelsey. But if you're following their channel, you know them by both names. So I will refer to them as their trail names because that's how we all know each other, right? So before I left for Georgia, I was desperate to have a better understanding of the trail conditions post Hurricane Helene, right? So I decided to pick a bunch of YouTube through hiker channels, watch them constantly, and just see if I could, glean some information from the damage. See what I'm getting myself into. When I don't work from my desk very often, but when I am at my desk, I've got two monitors. So I would put the YouTube playing on one of my monitors while I worked on the other monitor. It was just kind of like always running in the background looking for, I'm waiting for like buzzwords like hurricane damage, And so theirs was one that I always had playing. And actually, I gleaned a lot of good information off of their channel. They talked about a lot of stuff that, I'd be just sitting there going, oh, that's a good idea. Write that down. But anyway, I'm laughing because one of the things was to pre-dig your cat hole. And, I'm not going to get into the details, but that's a really good one. And so if I'm at a shelter or a campsite with no privy or whatever, I will often pre-dig my cat hole. And, okay, safety first, I will put a rock in it with a stick, okay? So that nobody's wandering around in the dark and steps in it and breaks their ankle, okay? And then, if for some reason that cat hole goes unused, it's like trail magic, Anyway, okay. I watched every single one of their videos. Okay, every single one until the day I left for Georgia. All right? Now, fast forward, I'm on the trail. And I had turned off my phone, turned off airplane mode. And you know how all the alerts start popping up. And I saw, an alert saying, hey, Leslie and Kelsey. Their channel is called Leslie plus sign Kelsey on the AT. And it said, they have a new video, And I looked down and it says that they just left a shelter. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just walked by that shelter. I'm like, are we that close? I couldn't believe it. I was like, we could actually meet. But I also know how this trail is. You can be like two ships in the night, right? Doesn't take much to completely miss each other. So I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. And then I want to say a week later, I see another alert come up and it says, just leaving the Shennys. And I'm like, I just left the Shennys. Like I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're nearly on top of each other. Where are these two, right? So, I thought about it for a few days. Like, I wonder if, I wonder if I'll see them on the trail or if they'll walk in on me squatting on the trail while I'm peeing. Like, I'm like thinking that would be my luck, right? Well, sure enough, it was that really rainy day, right? So it's raining off and on all day, right? And I just had enough. I knew I was going to the stay at Swatara hostel. So I said, I can treat myself to a little music because I'll be able to recharge my devices. So I had what a production that is. Because I, of course, brought the earbuds with the cord. So I had one less thing to charge. And I thread it through my shirt and my rain jacket. And I put it in my ears. And I got my phone all set up. And I was probably 2 songs in. And I can see these people off in the distance. And I turned off my music because I'm going to say hi. And if they talk back, if they say something to me, I want to be able to hear them, right? So I always turn off my music when I pass people. And as I'm getting closer, all of a sudden they come into focus. And I literally stopped. I think I was so starstruck. I literally stopped. And I went, oh, no. And then I went, oh, yes. And then I just put I wish you could see. I put my hands, I put my hands up in the air and I just stood there gaping now, all right, I don't know what their views are now, but before I left for Georgia, they were getting 5,000 plus views on every video. They're like YouTube famous, okay? So I'm sitting here they had to have known, okay, she recognizes us, right? There might be a lot of thru hikers that didn't watch their videos, have no idea who they are. They clearly figured out that I did know who they were. It's rather embarrassing. But so then I walk up to them and I'm like, I can't believe it. I wondered if I would get to meet you. I saw your alert. Just leaving the Shennys. I'm like, I'm just leaving the Shennys. And I'm like, bah, 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 bah. And they were so kind. So Green Bean says, well, what is your trail name? I'm like, oh, that, I'm Trinity. And anyway, I just started telling them how much I love their channel and how much it helped. And I learned a lot from them. And I started spitting back at them all the stuff that they shared that I actually, took with me on the trail. And they, they appreciated that, I'm sure, right? But they've probably heard it 1,000 times. Anyway, we were talking, just standing there in the rain. Well, it had actually stopped, thank God, in that moment. And I said, I cannot believe I am meeting you when I'm all looking like a drowned rat in the rain. And they're like, well, we all do, whatever. I said, I just don't look my Sunday best. And Green Bean says, I don't think any of us do, right? So anyway, I said to them, I don't want to invite myself to hike with you, but if you want to, we could start hiking. And Green Bean says, yeah, let's hike. So Green Bean stayed in front, Jamless stayed in back. And And so I knew, no, I'm a runner. Oh, that was the other thing. Green Bean said, so what day did you start? Because here we are, right, in the same spot, right? And she goes, oh, what day did you start? And I said, April 1st. And Green Bean goes, wow. And she says, are you like a marathoner or something? And I said, I'm an ultra marathoner. And she goes, well, there it is. I said, yeah, I did come onto the trail with a higher level of fitness. Yes. And so they laughed. And anyway, so now I know Kelsey, that's a real name. Jamless knows that I'm a runner now. I know that she's a runner. So Jamless and we talked a lot about her marathon that she did right before the trail. And we talked a lot about running and different things and foods and all that. And then Green Bean and I we actually talked about some more, like I was sharing with her about my tick repellent and how good it is. And it's better for mosquitoes. And I think it works on the ticks and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, I'll have to try that. And it was fabulous, at least for me. I don't know what they thought, but I really, 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 really enjoyed my time hiking with them. As a matter of fact, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through the time that we had together, I actually said, it's like you jumped out of my television. Because I had only seen, up to that point, I had only seen them right on a computer screen on YouTube. And then all of a sudden, here they are, like in front of me, like human beings, like real people, right? Like who knew? And anyway, I was going to say, they obviously didn't think I was the freak that I thought I was, because they did let me hike with them for quite a bit. In fact, they stopped to have lunch. They wanted to stop and have lunch. And of course, I never stop. So I hugged them, thanked them. We also got pictures. And then I hiked on. But then I tried to do a video for you guys that was such a disaster. I've scrapped it and you'll never see it. And in the time that I was doing that, they finished their lunch and actually caught up to me. So we hiked more. And Green Bean made me feel a little bit better about being so starstruck, because she said last year she had been watching YouTube and had this one particular couple was her favorite. And she really, really admired them and whatever. And she was doing trail magic one day and they came through. And so she said it was like meeting Taylor Swift, And I think that's what it felt like for me. Just like, wow. Anyway, it was fabulous. So we continued to hike that afternoon. I was headed to stay at Swatara. They were going to stop a little bit shy of that. I actually feel, I'm so kind of feeling really bad, because we were talking so much and I knew they needed to get water because the campsite didn't have water. And Jamless was like, I know it's, like whatever, it's 0.3 or 0.2 ahead. Well, all of a sudden Jamless goes, where is that water? And it ends up, we overshot it by 0.3. I felt so awful. I'm like, why on my watch, right? Like, if we hadn't been talking, maybe they wouldn't have missed it, right? It obviously wasn't clearly marked, or it wasn't an obvious spring, because I didn't see it. Jamless was looking for it, but I felt responsible and I felt really bad. And Jamless says, oh, I'll go back and get it. And then I said, I'll stay with, Green Bean. And then Green Bean says, no, I really should go with her. I said, oh, well, I'll watch your packs. And they said, no, don't worry about it. And they had just hid them behind some trees and whatever. And then I went off to Swatara. But anyway, it was really great. And here's kind of a funny thing. So Jamless told the story about a friend of hers that she's met on trail called Ponyboy. And I'm like, oh, I know Ponyboy, blonde hair. She says, no. And so I said, oh, there's 2 Ponyboys. Isn't it such a coincidence? Their friend Ponyboy stayed at Swatara while I was there. So I got to meet him too. Bizarre, right? Anyway, small world on the trail. Anyway, it was an absolute thrill. And I know they'll never see this, but I did thank them. I just thanked them for their time. And you know what? I know the trail has a way. I didn't say goodbye. I said until next time. I hope we do get a chance to hike again together. But I understand they have a trail family, and I'm not trying to infiltrate it. But I really did enjoy my time walking with them. And it really, really, really was like they jumped out of my television, because it was surreal. Anyway, it was awesome. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Okay, I'll talk to you later.